today's walkabout, I want to talk about something that I call my Gardening Manifesto. And if you want a copy of it, then just go to lindavater.com. It's for free. You can sign up with your email address. And pretty soon, I am hoping to resume my newsletter on a regular basis. As soon as I get this book turned in, then hopefully on a weekly basis, you guys will get a newsletter from me with all sorts of other additional tips and things. And I've just been too busy to put it out lately, but I will resume with that, I promise. So if you want a copy of my Gardening Manifesto and you want to get on the newsletter list that I will be resuming shortly, then just go to lindavater.com and sign up. And so today, one of the things on my Gardening Manifesto, if you want to come this way, is that there are moments of opportunity in the garden, and one of them is before and after a rain, and the other is as seasons change. So at points of transition, there are opportunities. And obviously we've been getting so much rain, just unbelievably so. Poor Stuart, the mosquitoes are going to eat him alive despite my best efforts to contain them. So this is one of those moments of opportunity. So what I'm doing is I just cut a bunch of Coleus starts from all of the Coleus that's growing on my front porch, in the window boxes, and in planters. And normally I would stick this in some water and let it root, and then after it's rooted, like this one that I've already tucked in here, then I will plant it up somehow. These are the pots that I did the other day. And I've got my trusty scissors out with me every time I do a walkabout, so I can cut back some of those leaves that are not so happy. So back to my Coleus clippings. Now, on occasions like this, right after it's rained, plus we have rainy, cloudy conditions into the unforeseeable future, then I can expedite this process a little bit by just skipping the steps where I take the cuttings and I put them in water, because I have found that on rainy days I can take the cuttings and I can plant them directly into the pots. So what I'm going to do is remove these two lower leaves to expose the leaf nodes where the leaf meets the stem. And if I was going to put this in water, I would just put it in water up to about here, and roots would come out from this root node. But now, because the temperatures are just so moderate, I'm going to put these into the pot directly. And these will root in situ, and before I know it, I will have all sorts of growing Coleus out here in this pot that will, I think, look beautiful. There's a great color echo between the Coleus and this beautiful Heucherella. This is a Heucherella from the Southern Living Plant Collection. They have a number of them, so I would just go there and look at their collection. Look at all those mosquitoes there, you guys. Unbelievable. So I'm just going to tuck a bunch of these in here. And the reason I'm doing this now is because I'm thinking about the future already. And in the future, it may seem far away now, but in the future is fall. And these are going to be absolutely beautiful in fall. I love the vibrant green, and I love the way it's trimmed around the edges in that purple. So I'm doing the same with these others. I'll clean up my mess later. See if there's other clipping that needs to be done. And why I like to use these scissors from the dollar store is because I don't worry about, if I kind of damage them in some way, that way. They're not, in other words, they're not one of my better pairs of scissors. So I'm going to do the same thing here. You can see I've already tucked some in. And this is a two for you guys, because you're not only getting cuttings to fill out your other planters, but it will make those planters in the front that much bushier and that much healthier because I'm cutting them back. So up in here, I've decided I haven't found any of the angel wing begonias that I really wanted to put in here, at least not yet. So until I get some, I'm just going to stick more of this Coleus in here. And won't this be gorgeous, you guys, in the fall then, when I tuck some gourds and some pumpkins in these pots? I think it will be really wonderful. You can see some that I put in here the other day, and they're not even drooping. So they're going to be just fine. And pretty soon, this will be big and spilling out all over the place. These, here's a tip. I had these plastic forks and spoons in here as a squirrel deterrent. Unfortunately, they do not work on mosquitoes, do they, Stuart? No, they do not. So I'm going to stick this guy in here. And like I say, before you know it, this is going to be completely full. So I'm also eyeing this for any problems. I've got a little bit of leaf spot going that I've been treating with neem oil. So I'm going to address it. I'll pick all of that up later. Now here's another tip, you guys. The other day when I restyled this porch, I made a note to self that I needed to come back afterwards, and I can't get this open, Stuart. Maybe it's because it's operator error. I have to be smarter than the bottle. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put some of this mosquito bits. And what this will do is prevent them from growing in these pots. This is it, mosquito bits. They work great on mosquitoes and for fungus gnats, and I'm also going to be putting some of them, can you hear Stuart scratching? I'm going to be putting some of them in my bird bath and in other places, along with, on this walkabout, I'm going to be dumping out any standing water that I see. Now, will it come right back because we've got more rain? Yes, and I will just have to continue to do that. So, and if I didn't say it earlier just a minute ago, you guys keep this for the wintertime too, because when you force your Amaryllis or you bring any house plants inside, these work terrific on fungus gnats. And it was one of you followers who told me about this. If you were the one, please let me know. I will happily give you credit. This is why I love this community so much, because I learn more than you guys learn. So that is that. And I'm going to grab my scissors again. And I'm just going to look out for potential problems, because another thing on my list is that procrastination is really your enemy. Take care of something as soon as you see it so it doesn't become a really difficult problem later. And there are many opportunities to do that after a rain. I've got lots of weeding to do. Something that historically I really haven't had a problem with too much in the past, but especially in the front yard, when I lost those big limbs, it created a lot of exposed soil. And so that's where I've got some weeds coming up, and I'll show you about that later. Stuart's catching the mosquitoes with one hand and filming with the other. Now he is a multitasker. Before we progress too much further, this may be a new obsession of mine, you guys. So it started with topiary, then it was scented geraniums, and now I feel another one coming on. And that may be these begonias, these tuberous begonias that I got. These came from Breck's. I'm not sure if they've still got some available, but I will do a swipe up link to them. I just planted these as tubers just a little while ago, and look at how beautiful they are. And I think in the fall they'll be equally as gorgeous, and I imagine that they will consume the entire pot. And Stuart, if you can come over this way. This window box I did not too long ago. If you didn't see it, go back and watch me plant this window box. It is really starting to fill out, and especially these begonias, because I planted a bunch of them in there. Look at this one. If Stuart can capture it, look at that. This is what they'll look like when they're all grown up. Isn't that incredible? And this whole window box is going to be filled with them. So before I know it, is going to be just really lush. I'm so glad I didn't overplant. There's another one right there. And they all have really good drainage so that those tubers don't rot. So that is a good thing. In this area over here, as much as I love these stools, my wooden stools, I am going to move them to another location because it just makes this area look too cluttered. And I just don't like that. So I'm going to be moving them. I will definitely save them. I've been doing some repotting over here, but I want this area to be a little less congested. Here is an update on these Terra Hydrangeas. Look at this. These are almost to the stage where I can cut them and bring them into dry. It'll just take 3 of these to fill a bowl. Maybe in that beautiful metal urn, aged urn that Nev sent to me. Thank you, Nev. Over here, it is Christmas in June. So look at how these guys have filled out. These were all of those Amaryllis bulbs that just looked awful when I planted them in here. Now they've even bloomed. These were from Color Blends, and I'll put a link below to Color Blends, but these have bloomed and they are loving this cool weather. And actually, at the end of the day, this spot gets pretty much sun, and they've been able to withstand the sun probably because they grew up and were already tempered. And this did so well, I found another one down in the basement, so I potted this up. This other pot will be full pretty soon. I also was gifted a crinum bulb by a friend of mine, and I've tucked it in here just until I have time to find a more permanent location for it. So I'm loving the way these look. If Stuart, if you could very carefully kind of back up so they could see how this corner is all coming together. I think I'm just really, really pleased. Again, I'm thinking forward to fall when we will really use this space with my little fire grate. I've got lots of trimming to do on my topiaries, and in the not too distant future there will be, I'm going to do a whole video on topiaries, and I can't wait. Here is a project that I am getting ready to work on. And these guys are so happy, but it's going to be a hanging basket with one of the baskets that's in my QVC line, and I'll put a link below. I'm going to be on QVC tomorrow on Outdoor Living with Dan on QVC2, the online channel, not the TV channel, at I think it's noon to 3, is it, Stuart? And I'll be talking about 3 different products, one of them being the hanging basket, because this one I'm getting ready to pot up, and purple is my muse. I have a Laura Petalum. This one's red diamond, I think. Yes, it is. And all of these are just going to be purple and beautiful. Look at this chartreuse fun pepper that's already coming out. It's happy, happy. And then the purple blooms on the Thai basil. So I am going to pot this up, and it will be a temporary but a beautiful hanging basket, I think, that is with that vibe of edibles and ornamentals that I just love so much. And this speaks to another principle in my garden, and that is my love of layering, because I love to have things at different levels to make your eye migrate from one place to another. And I also love it because it can, in a small garden, it can infuse color higher up where you may not otherwise be able to have color, which is why I love hanging baskets in general. So again, I'll put a link below. Those come in 3 different sizes. I'll put a link below. So I'm getting ready to work on that. And if you come over this way, boy, the hydrangeas will really benefit from all of this rain. And these, I was really kind of sad because I thought some of my reblooming hydrangeas wouldn't put on buds, even with the triple superphosphate that I gave them last spring. But they are starting to bud out, and I think there are a lot of tiny buds in here. There's one over there. There's one in here. So I'm hoping a lot of these will put on blooms that will bloom later into the summer. And these have just gotten just exceptionally mammoth, I think. And my Annabelles, you guys love Annabelles as much as I do. Here's my question of the day for you. I want to know your favorite hydrangea. Or your favorite category of hydrangeas. If you like smooth hydrangeas, Hydrangea paniculata, Hydrangea macrophylla, depending on what is your favorite hydrangea, make sure to put that below. But look at the scale of this one. This is just a classic Annabelle. My friend Linda Kavanaugh at Channel 4 gave me this years ago. It got huge. I've cut, I don't know how many bouquets off of it already. And even though it does this splaying thing with extremely heavy rain that we've gotten, it will nevertheless kind of stand up and fly right after we get some sunshine and the weight of all of that water on the petals transpires. Look at this. This is Oakleaf Hydrangea. This is Snowflake. And this is probably one of my very favorite hydrangeas. I know my friend Beth Teal loves this also up in Tulsa. Look at these. These are the ones that I told you, and I think in the community tab, I put some stills of how I created literally a dried hanging chandelier out of these, and I had them suspended around the garden and even some inside for a party that I had. And when they dry, they just dry beautifully. They won't be as white, but you can see how they're starting to turn color. And before too long, these will be ready to bring inside for drying. And I will have a whole lot to choose from. Now here's another variety. I'm not sure which one this is over here. And you can see that it's sweet and pretty, but the blooms aren't nearly as large. So if you want gargantuan blooms, if you want Oakleaf Hydrangea blooms on steroids, then you want to go with Snowflake. They are just beautiful. And I really was happy to remove all of the larkspur and everything from this area, because then it exposed this beautiful Green Mountain boxwood. And before too long, these berries on the viburnum will start turning blue and purple, and I love that. I also like the fact that I removed some things, because back in there you can see there's some variegated Solomon seal, and I've got some work to do in here, it looks like, which I will do. I keep trimming my Eugenia topiary. You can remember not too distant past how pitiful this looked when I took it out of the greenhouse. But it is really starting to get a strong form again, and before too long it will be completely full. I'm actually going to do a little pruning on this. Some of you have asked, you know, how much can you prune your red buds now to get this more sculpted look? And you can do a little bit of pruning. I wouldn't do too much aggressive pruning right now, but since temperatures have been so mild, why not? So some of these lower hanging branches I will definitely prune. And if you go way back into the bowels of the Linda Vater YouTube channel, you will find one, a really old one. I've got a striped shirt on where I show how I pruned this to get this really sculpted look. Stuart, would you remind me, and we'll put the link. We'll put the link below to how you get this cascading limb appearance from not just red buds, but from a variety of trees. And I showed this on Instagram, and some of you have asked, where can you follow me on Instagram? Just put my name in, and 2 different accounts will come up. The one you want is probably Potager Blog. And look at these. This is Sugar Shack from Proven Winners. Look at that. And it is just as fun as can be. It's real. The flowers have this, I call it a galactic quality. Look at that. And you can't see them so much because it's rained. I had a number of these on here. This is a button bush. And you can see all these buds that I've got up here. And Stuart made the excellent point that this is one of those plants that you want to really appreciate up close. The other thing that I can say from experience is I kind of pruned it up a little bit last year, and prior to that I didn't have any blooms, and now I do. I have considerably more. Part of that is maturity, but part of it I think is because some of those were forced out from doing a little bit of pruning on them. These are just starting. I mean, look at all the standing water. Stuart, if you don't mind, this is how much rain we got here. Probably 4 to 5 inches just last night, and that's on top of probably the 3 inches we got a couple days ago, and we've got more coming. When I came out this morning, despite having pretty good drainage in most of this area, it just, the ground is saturated, and it just really couldn't handle this much more moisture. Okay.
So many mosquitoes over here.
Sorry, Stuart. And the thing is, I can just walk through them, but just FYI, guys. Okay, I'm going to do this. I will not reveal your face, Stuart, because I know you're shy, but look. Okay. Look. He's got on a long jacket. Put your head down, Stuart, and I'll show. He's got a long, gosh. He's got a long jacket, hooded jacket on. He looks like Nanook of the North. He's so protected, and that is in addition to bug spray, my ground being treated, mosquito pellets. That's just how much rain we've had. Okay, I will wrap this up pretty soon, Stuart. I promise. You're such a trooper. These are the white redding hydrangeas, Hydrangea paniculata. Look at all those buds, and they go all the way back in there. So this whole expanse is going to just be gorgeous and white. Look, we've got a little friend here, Stuart. Look, a little bumblebee. And another point on my garden manifesto is that a garden without living creatures, aside from just us humans, is not a garden, it's a stage set. So what we really want is to infuse life into our gardens with lots of pollinators and birds. As I was working on my book yesterday in the studio, I could look outside and there was all these birds that, for whatever reason, kept flying into the window. I guess they would see their reflection, but there were a million of them, and I really felt like they were keeping me company as I was writing my book, which is available. I sound like a broken record. I sound like I sound like I'm just a walking, talking commercial. I apologize, but I have worked very hard on this book, and it is available. Stuart's nodding his head. He knows how hard I've worked, and it's available for pre-order on Amazon. I'll put a link below, and so many of you guys have already pre-ordered it. I really can't believe how well it's doing. Thank you so much. I probably just, did I do that, Stuart? Okay, so this, gosh, I just am so looking forward to turning in my final manuscript so that I can tackle the rest of this stuff. Isn't this gorgeous? And you can see how I've kind of trimmed it up. This is a blueberry, one of the edibles from Southern Living. I've got it in this English urn planter. This is from QVC, but I just love this, and I love the way it's pruned up. I've already gotten some blueberries off of it. And I've got another one just like this that I'm waiting to prune up, and I'm going to pot them up. And this is one of those plants, you guys, that's kind of a boxwood doppelganger. So if you don't want to grow boxwood, then this is an edible alternative that I think is absolutely brilliant, and you might want to give it a try. Stuart, I'm sorry, I'm almost finished here. The Weigela is getting ready to bloom again. Look at that. I need to do some pruning on it. This tall phlox is getting ready to bloom. All of my myrtle are just going crazy and are splayed from all the rain, and they will get lots of TLC in an upcoming video. Look at the coneflower. When I originally did this as one of my bulletproof plants, And Stuart, we might put that link up too. This was one of them, and you guys said, well, why didn't I show it in bloom? Well, because it wasn't in bloom yet. And it's in bloom now, but it was available already at the nurseries. And I wanted you guys to know that it was available so you could plant it and get it established before the heat hit. But look at the wonderful color echo between this and that Woodgelia bloom, which I think is just divine. Just divine. I love it. Weirdly, the viburnum is still blooming. I love how absolutely gorgeous the hydrangea, or the begonia bowl looks. And from a distance, it really stands out. It's a great focal point for my kitchen window. And I'm not going to do a lot back here in the potager because I've got a lot of work to do, but you can see my baskets are just overflowing with purple lusciousness, with scaviola and wave petunias and salvia florencia, scented geraniums, very, very wet. They're growing, but the wet doesn't hurt my Kobo baskets from QVC. This one I cut back recently because the scented geranium was getting a little bit thuggish, and I wanted this other stuff to fill out and provide more color. And then I will kind of end it there. But look at how lush stuff is looking back here, and I will save that for another day before poor Stuart gets eaten alive by mosquitoes. Thanks for hanging with me on this Wednesday walkabout. Well, for those of you that stuck around to the end, here's my fashion ensemble. My t-shirt, which I think is darling, by the way, was a gift from Hubs. It's from Duluth Trading, and if I can find a link, I'll put it below. My earrings are from that shop in Salida, Colorado I love so much, called Currents. I don't know if it's still there or not, but I really do like them. My boots are Hunter off of eBay, and my jeans are from the Gap. They're skinny jeans from the Gap many, many years ago. So that's my ensemble for today.